The Kamala Harris campaign makes an attack ad directed at the Jill Stein campaign. So first, let me just say this. I have never in my life seen a major party go after a third party the way that I've seen this cycle in particular, but also with an attack ad. I mean, let's be clear here. I mean, these things take thousands of dollars to make, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars to make. They can take millions of dollars to run these ads. Absolutely incredible to see this. And I have so many thoughts about it. But before we get into any of my thoughts, let's watch the clip of what the attack ad is. Here's the clip.
Jill Stein, Green Party candidate for president. So why are Trump's close allies helping her? Stein was key to Trump's 2016 wins in battleground states. She's not sorry she helped Trump win. That's why a vote for Stein is really a vote for Trump.
Jill Stein, I like her very much. You know why? She takes 100% from them.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
So there are so many different things that I find to be wrong with this attack ad. So many different things. But let's just start with them one by one. First and foremost, why is there the prevailing idea that a Stein voter would definitely be voting for the Democratic ticket, in this particular case, Kamala Harris, if Jill Stein wasn't on the ballot? As we've spoke about before, this is, I think like the fourth or fifth time now that we're covering Jill Stein here on the channel. If someone is not voting for the Democratic ticket, that doesn't mean, if someone is voting for the Green Party ticket, that does not mean that if the Green Party wasn't on the ballot, that they're just magically going to go to the Democrat nominee. Now, while you would think that the Green Party, Democratic Party, they're both similar-ish aligned, both being on the left political spectrum, I know that's debatable. I would think the more likely scenario is that if someone chooses to vote for Jill Stein, and in this particular scenario, she's not on the ballot, I think what's most likely going to happen is that voter just doesn't vote at all. It's not going to actually then go and turn around and vote for Kamala Harris. If they wanted to vote for Kamala Harris, they would just vote for Kamala Harris. They didn't just see Jill Stein's name there and then all of a sudden say, you know what? Now that I see another option here, I think I'll vote for another option. It's like, no, they're not voting for Kamala Harris for a reason. I don't know. This line of thinking is just absolutely bonkers to me. But also the belief that this voter shaming is going to work. Like, when have you ever really seen this happen in your life to where you kind of humiliate somebody, you tell them that they're being stupid, tell them that they have no idea what they're talking about, so on and so forth, and then they turn around and they all of a sudden just do what you want them to do? It doesn't work that way. I see this online time and time again right now. People trying to just ostracize these people, trying to make them like belittle these people, saying, if you vote for Jill Stein, you're just voting for Trump, you're just, you're corrupting our country, all kinds of just like crazy blasphemous things that I'm seeing right now from a bunch of larger political accounts on places like Instagram and Threads and Twitter. It's absolutely just bananas to me. But again, as I said in previous posts, let's just play out this scenario, right? So in this scenario where you are removing the Green Party from all these ballots, in that scenario, you're also removing the libertarians from all of these ballots too, because you are trying to remove all of these different third parties from all these different ballots, right? And you're also under the assumption that by removing these third parties, that the people who would have voted for them are not going to vote for the major parties. Well, in this scenario, the libertarians actually consistently vote at higher rates than Greens do. So you're actually in this scenario helping the GOP out more than you'd be helping them out otherwise. Again, it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever to go about it this way. I just have to say, as a whole, this just feels like an incredibly weak move by the Kamala Harris team. They are, instead of trying to find different ways to convince people that they have the right message, that they're the right campaign, that people should be excited to vote for them, they're taking attack ads out on a third party. And again, how much do you think this third party is actually taking of the national vote total in general? If you actually felt the need to cut an ad to go after them. If anything, this feels incredibly validating for Jill Stein. And again, as Jill Stein's actually pointed out multiple times on social media, you're probably just increasing her name ID, making her more popular. You're helping out her campaign by consistently talking about her like this. This just feels like shooting yourself in the foot to an enormous degree. But there was one reaction that I saw from this that I did want to share with everyone. This is from the show Breaking Points. Nina Turner came on that show recently to talk specifically about this ad, and I want to play for you all what she said about all this because I think it's an important part of the conversation. Here's the clip.
That ad makes my skin crawl as well, because the people who want to vote for Dr. Jill Stein, we assuming that if Dr. Stein was not on the ballot, that they would be voting for Democrats. And that's a wrong assumption. They're voting for Dr. Jill Stein or the Green Party because the Green Party puts up a different message, a different platform, and a different vision for this country. And yet it is very telling. They must be scared. And to conflate her voter saying that she is helping Donald J. Trump, when nothing can be further from the truth. Again, this is the United States of America, so I thought. I also thought that people have agency in their ability to vote. That's what I thought. But the Democrats, by this ad and how they also comported themselves in the primary by locking everybody out of the primary, is showing that they themselves don't believe in small d democracy as they profess to. This is wrong, and it takes away the agency of voters, and it makes it seem like voters don't know what they want and what they're doing. You poor little voters, we're going to tell you what to do and how to vote.
So I highly recommend that people go check out the rest of that video to see what else she had to say, because that's just one small clip of that conversation. Look, here are my thoughts on the Jill Stein campaign, just really briefly again. Can she win? No. No, I mean, there's no chance that she can win. I mean, it's going to be a long, long time before a party besides the Democrats or the Republicans will actually be able to win the White House, especially without a national like ranked choice voting or something to that effect. But I think the best thing that she could hope for, and why I think it is worth voting for her, depending on what state you live in, I think that getting a third party to that 5% threshold is worth the investment. And I know that, some people, are willing to vote for Jill Stein anywhere. I'm of the firm belief that I do believe that Donald Trump becoming president again is actually a worse scenario than Kamala Harris being president. So I think the strategic way to go about this, and I've said this before, is that I would like to see people who would normally vote Democrat at the top of the ticket instead vote for Green Party in red states. So if you live in a deep red state, Montana, North Dakota, Wyoming, Utah, South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, some of these deep red states, the states where right now Donald Trump has already won those states. We don't need to wait until election day. We already know Donald Trump's won those states. Kamala Harris will not be winning the state of Oklahoma. I'm sorry, it's not happening. So instead of voting for Kamala Harris in Oklahoma, your vote goes a lot further voting for Jill Stein in Oklahoma than it ever would voting for Kamala Harris. There's no value for it there. So I would love to see that kind of strategic voting. I think that would go a long way to empower another party to rise up to challenge the Democratic Party, a party that we've seen continuously doesn't truly represent people on the left the way we want it to. And again, last thing I'll say here is the reason why so many people are probably going to be voting for Jill Stein in this election, whether that's, 1% of the vote, 2% of the vote, 3% of the vote. If she gets the 5%, we're talking about potentially, millions of people in this country voting for Jill Stein this time around. I think if we see that, it's not because she's trying to help Trump win or whatever narratives that Kamala Harris is putting out there. It's because people are upset with the last 4 years. There are a lot of people who legitimately wanted to vote for the Democratic ticket, who did vote for the Democratic ticket in 2020, who just cannot continue to support a party that feels like it's not really listening to its base of voters. And a lot of people feel this way because of the genocide in Gaza, because of what they're seeing in Lebanon. And that is just, reasons that have come up in in the last year. There are people who are upset with the Biden administration before that. But this is a rebuke of the last 4 years. These are Democratic type voters. These are voters on the left who are just disgusted with the way that the last 4 years have gone. And Kamala Harris feels like every way that she's just going to be a continuation of the policies that we've seen over the last 4 years. In a lot of ways, she's very much said so, especially when it comes to Israel policy. And there are so many people that just cannot support that anymore. So Jill Stein, it just feels like the protest vote that so many people are feeling the need to exercise right now. And I completely understand it. I understand it. I do think there should be a strategicness to it, but I understand why people feel the way that they do. So I'm sure that we will continue to talk about this as we get closer and closer to the election. We're only a few weeks out now. I'm not sure what Jill Stein will get at the end of this election, but I think it's pretty safe to say it'll be more than what she got in 2016. Thank you for watching this video of Independent Thought. If you liked the conversation, please go ahead and give the video itself a like, and be sure to subscribe for future episodes on the channel.